Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Eric and today we're going to talk about something other than Mario. I realized the last 3 videos have been Mario, Mario, and Mario. So we're going to do something a little bit different and talk about an RPG. No, not Mario RPG. We're going to talk about something better than that. Better than Mario RPG? Seriously, Eric? Get out. The RPGs we're going to talk about are of the Japanese variety, and they go by the names of Grandia 1 and 2. You see, these games hold a very special place in the heart of Eric, and so I wanted to talk about them with you today, and why I think these games are so special. Spoiler alert, the battle system is amazing, and there's lots of other things going for this as well, but the battle system. To catch you guys up who don't know what the hell is going on, basically a remastered edition of Grandia 1 and 2 are making their way to Switch and Steam later on in the year. Up until recently, we've all been walking around going, where is this? It's like, they haven't talked for a while. Is it still on track? Is it still coming? Have they cancelled it? But fortunately, it turns out Gung Ho hasn't gone home. That joke didn't work the way I wanted it to. Fortunately, Gung Ho hasn't gone home, and they're still developing the game. Nailed it that time. We know this because as of February 1st, we got a tweet by them basically saying that, yeah, we're happy you're excited for the game. We'll talk soon. So I guess that's an update, but yeah, the game's still coming. If you like PS1 and PS2 style JRPGs and you haven't played these, where have you been? No, you're not under there. Under that? No. I don't know, you've definitely been under something because you should have played these games by now. I'm under talk, I've played almost no JRPGs in the PS1 and PS2 because I didn't own one. I played Final Fantasy X. Also, I should mention that I'm going to talk about Grandia 2 first because that's the one that I have the most experience with personally. I did put 25 hours as I discovered into the first game, never finished it, and my memory's a little bit on the hazy side with that, although I did play a tiny bit of it today. Play is a bad word for it. I did turn it on today just to refresh myself. Now the battle system, the thing that makes this game so darn special, is very much like, I don't know, if you want to go for a quick comparison here, you could say it's like Final Fantasy. The way it's similar to a Final Fantasy game is the progression bar. So when the progression bar reaches the top, it's that character's turn. And of course, faster characters are going to get turns more often. But the top of this progress bar, that isn't the end. Once you reach the top, you then hit what is called the casting bar. And so during this bar, you're basically in a vulnerable state for casting. Now, if you're doing an attack, you'll instantly go to the top and you perform your attack. If you do a castable attack, of course, you will have to cast it, and same for the enemies. Now, while you are casting, if you get attacked by a critical attack or a special spell in that sequence, you'll be knocked back, or the enemy will be knocked back to approximately halfway down or something like that down the bar. Now, this is where it becomes really interesting, because at this point, you can learn techniques to kind of try and lock down the enemy, or maybe just keep the enemy at bay, try stop it from, maybe just want to stop it from doing its more powerful attacks, or maybe there's a certain strong enemy on the field that you don't want that enemy doing attacks, so you're going to focus on that one instead of spreading your attention around. And because of that, it makes an option to be like, should I do a high damage attack that will get rid of the enemy faster, but won't offer as much knockback? Or should I focus on the knockback? Or maybe I should defend so that my next turn comes up again quicker, and it'll be ready at the same time the enemy's next turn is, and I can interrupt again. It brings in all these little strategies to be like, thinking about the progress bar all the time. You're always going to be thinking about where you are in that progress bar in relation to the enemies. It becomes almost an exploitable system that when you get smart and you really learn how to use the game, you can really use it to your advantage, and when you get a lot stronger in the game, you can start to dominate enemies this way. But it's not the end of it, because enemies do get stronger and smarter themselves. They may either build up to the end faster, or there'll be certain bosses that have multiple ligaments. So in other words, you can't just target that one spot and keep interrupting it, because then the others are going to keep casting at you. Even positioning has to come in mind, because your position on the battlefield matters. When you do your attack, let's say you're doing an interrupting attack, it takes time for you to run over there and interrupt the enemy. And if you don't get there in time and they cast their attack, they're going to interrupt you. It's going to have the opposite effect of what you wanted. So at that stage, maybe it's smarter for you to defend instead of going all out with the attacks. As you can see, because of this little cast bar at the end, it brings in all these micro strategies as you're playing this game. There is a point in the game where I feel like you get really strong, and maybe the enemies aren't as much as a challenge, but it's also got to do with whether you're grinding on enemies, or got to do with how good you are at the game, how well you learn the system. And like that, I think that's part of the reason, is that when you learn the system, you can learn to abuse it, and you can get really powerful. But to me, there's like half the fun of just getting into one of these RPGs is the feeling of becoming powerful, the feeling of leveling up and overpowering your enemies. Not to the point where they're just weaklings, but to the point where it's fun. It's a bit hazy though. I mean, it has been probably 10 plus years since I played the game, so I'm not really sure of how easy it got in the end. I just do remember a little bit of me going, wow, I am powerful. Wow. It's also really fun just getting stronger in this game. This game really rewards you at the end of battles. So at the end of a battle, you're going to get not just like monetary rewards, you're not just going to get money, so you do get gold for coins, I think it is. But then you get experience, so you level up. Then you get like these magic coins, so they can be spent on buying and upgrading certain magic attacks. And special coins that work in a similar way to magic, but for special abilities. Then when you finally get out of the battle, there's still more depth to have there, because obviously you're upgrading your spells and your specials and things that I talked about, but they're done through these things. First of all, there's eggs, and these basically decide what spells you can use. So depending what egg is equipped to what character is what spells are even going to be available in the first place. And then you have books that upgrade. I think the techniques was from books. So as you can see, like this plus just buying equipment and all the other layers here make for quite a deep experience of just a really deep RPG experience, which I mean, if you're getting into one of these games and it's a JRPG, I think that's kind of what you're after. One thing that I love that I know a whole bunch of other people love as well is that battles aren't random. You see them on the map and you can dodge them if you want to, you can run into them if you want to, which I actually found myself doing most of the time. I was like, oh, there's a battle, let's go, because the combat is fun. It's not annoying combat. It's actually enjoyable to do battles when you're getting so much, like if you do the right enemies, you get a lot of reward for doing them. Music was also a huge selling point with this game. Honestly, I don't remember it too much myself, apart from the battle theme that's forever stuck in my head. That and the voice acting. If you better practice if you want to beat me, that's there as well. That's never going away. If you want to know how good the music is though, listen to anyone else talk about this game who's much more in tune with the music, because everyone praises this. Everyone praises how much they like the music in this. Also, one thing that just gets shoved into a lot of JRPGs actually these days, but some people really like it, and that is the kind of dinner sessions that you have. Dinner sessions, that's a really weird way of putting it. Where you all just sit around a dinner table and you have dinner together, and at that point you get to choose the conversations that play out, so you get to talk to everyone. Maybe some of you have played Xenoblade, that is a recent example that does it, but many other JRPGs do this anyway, or JRPGs. Just gonna open my JRPGs. I have a little bit more to say about Grandia 2, but I want to quickly mention most of the stuff that I just went over there can just be applied to one. Honestly, the battle system, pretty much the same. The spells and stuff like that, pretty much the same. The cooking system and all of that, I believe that's in the first one as well. So most of the stuff here, even the monsters are on the map. I think it's basically the same game. Actually, that's a really good segue into the next bit here, because next I want to talk about the story. The first game feels like it's a lot more lighthearted. With this game, your protagonist is straight up a D-head. Okay, no, that's a little bit harsh. He's actually not, when you learn his motives and what he's like, you kind of realize that's just who he is, and he is too arrogant and rude a lot of the time, but he's not the D-bag that I'm making him out to be. Having him or Ryudo like that doesn't actually take away from the second game at all though. In fact, it adds to it, because it adds a real layer between the characters. I mean, you have this guy who's just arrogant and rude, and then he parties up straight away with a girl of the church and like a beast man and a little boy. Of course, it's a Japanese RPG, then you have to have a child in there somewhere in your party. So as you can imagine, pairing these very, very different characters up with each other leads for some very diverse conversation. I think I started off somewhere back a little while ago saying how the story was more dark. Yeah, it's dark and gritty as well. Like, compared to the first game again, this game is just, everything is kind of gross and gritty, and like there's demons, and it almost feels sexualized in some of the scenes. And there's even characters that just straight up made me feel sick in my stomach just literally listening to them. Like, I think there's this glutton or something like that that just is slapping chicken wings down his throat, just throwing them down, and you get all the lip smacking sounds. It is just horrendous. So what do I remember about the first game then? Well, to tell you the truth, not a whole lot. Like, I own it as a PS3 Classics, and as I mentioned, I put 25 hours into it, but then coming away from it now, I'm kind of sitting back going, everything just feels like a bit of a blur. The one kind of bit of information that my mind does hold on to with that game is that apparently my mind just forgot it. Oh yeah, I think I had to do a lot of grinding at some point in the game. I think the game ramps up in difficulty more than the second one. Like, maybe it wasn't as exploitable, or maybe it's just a lot harder, but I do remember that game being harder in the first place, or in the last place, where I left off. with my 25 hours, which I think I left because it got so hard. Anyway, I'm definitely looking forward to these games coming out on my Switch later in the year. I'll be picking them up. I don't know how much I'll be playing because where am I going to get 100 plus hours of RPG time to put into my Switch? I want to, but have you seen how packed this year is? I don't know if you've seen how packed this year is, but this year is packed. Thanks for watching, guys. If you made it this far in the video and you liked what happened here, remember, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button for me, and for great Nintendo entertainment, remember, you can count on me. For today's end screen, I'm going to try and explain what this candle smells like so you can have the full Eric experience. This candle shouldn't even be here in the first place. I thought there was a jar for some reason. It doesn't even look like a jar. It smells like the beach. If you planted a citrus tree near the beach, that's what it smells like. You're welcome. Goodbye, everyone.